depending on wherever you are joining us from. This is a customer spotlight session where we are going to talk about Perplexity.ai and their cool product and how they are using AWS and NVIDIA technologies to build it. My name is Shruti Koparkar, and I am the product marketing lead for all things AI ML acceleration here at AWS. And I'm joined today by Rohil and Aravind, and I will let the two of them introduce themselves. Rohil, maybe you go first.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy to be here, and thanks for the introduction, Shruti. So, hi everyone. My name is Rohil. I'm a product marketing manager here at NVIDIA, and I am aligned with our data center business unit, and I work very closely with our customers and our cloud service partners as well. So, happy to be here and excited to talk to all of you today.
Hi everyone, I'm Aravind. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Perplexity. Perplexity is a conversational answer engine, and it's designed to take us towards the next era of search, which is the most fundamental software category for humans, answering people's questions and satisfying everyone's curiosity. But it's taking us from consuming links to consuming answers and conversing, like asking follow-ups and learning more. And we are super excited about fulfilling the curiosity of the planet and making everybody smarter.
That's great. Arvind, my first question to you was going to be why Perplexity and why you are building this product, but I feel like you've already answered it in part. But if you want to, talk about that a little bit more, please go ahead. And we would also love to see a lot of what you're building in action. So maybe we can see a demo of some sort at some point.
Absolutely, yeah. So first of all, why Perplexity? So Perplexity, my goal, or at least the goal I communicated to the company is maximize the IQ velocity, like delta IQ by delta time, maximize it integral over the whole planet. That's the idea. Uh, and the way to achieve that is give everybody the 80-20 on any topic. Get 80% of what you need to be knowing to be reasonably knowledgeable at that in very limited time. And if people want to dig deeper, they can ask follow-up questions to get the remaining 20%. So why is this helpful? This is helpful because not everybody has privilege and access to the world's experts on every topic. Like imagine you wanted to learn more about a specific type of cancer cell. Like, and you probably don't have access to the world's best doctor who's read every research paper on this topic. That's the kind of experience that Perplexity can give you, right? Or imagine you're like lactose intolerant and you're trying to figure out, maybe you're also soy intolerant and you're trying to figure out like, how can I can't have paneer or tofu anymore. What can I eat in the restaurant? And then if you discover that there's like versions of these things made with coconuts, and then these kind of new things that you discover that you probably wouldn't have discovered if you didn't have access to some expert. These are the kind of wonders that we want to provide to the world, and make it normal, right? The whole point of technology is to make what seems like wonderful and amazing today like normal tomorrow. At one point, our ancestors would have felt amazing if you told them, oh, you can talk to each other like how we're talking now. We're not even in the same place, same location. We're like live streaming this. So all this is amazing, but like people 10 years younger to us are like, oh yeah, whatever. I know this thing. It's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So I want Perplexity to be like that, like where it's amazing to me that we can do this because I've grown up in the era where even just getting the links was awesome, but people younger are going to be like, oh yeah, like who consumes links? Just get the answer.
Right.
That's our
I
goal.
think the 80-20 point you made is so true because often, when I'm trying to answer a complex question like that, I find myself like navigating through multiple links, like looking at the content, and then finally almost creating my own little Google Doc with the insights. And it sounds like what Perplexity does is it just does it for you. So
Yeah,
maybe we see it in action. And, I
yeah,
think
sounds good.
everyone in the audience will be curious what it is all about.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
good.
no, I'm excited.
I mean, there are a lot of cool questions you can ask here, and these are some suggested questions. But I'm just going to do a demo as if I'm going to use the product. A lot of the times, I just try to like learn about amazing founders. So like Jensen Huang is like one of my favorites. So I've heard there's an interesting story of how he raised funding from Sequoia. So I'm going to ask that. What is the story of how Jensen Huang convinced Sequoia to invest in NVIDIA? And this Copilot is going to reformulate my query and like read like seven, like lots of sources, reformulate again. It's basically doing
Mm.
the work of reading so much of the web and coming back and like giving me this amazing, succinct, summarized answer that I would have only gotten if I actually got access
Mm.
to some famous venture capitalists, right? It's pretty amazing. Like, oh, like basically what ended up happening is he was introduced by the CEO of LSI Logic, which was a Sequoia-backed company, and that guy phoned Don Valentine, the founder of Sequoia, and suggested to meet with Jensen. And Jensen was an employee at LSI. He was leaving to start this company. And then Jensen met Don Valentine. And Don Valentine said, "Oh, Jensen's not like really good, you know. But look, Wilf is telling me to invest in you. So I'm going against my judgment and I'm going to give you money. But if you lose it, I'll kill you." Like obviously I might have heard some part of it somewhere, but I
Yeah.
don't 100% remember. So like
Yeah.
amazing to get this answer. And then Sequoia co-invested with Sutter Hill Ventures at NVIDIA, investing $2 million at a $6 million valuation. Now think about it, $6 million became a $1 trillion company now. It's pretty insane, right? Basically, I don't know, like thousand times another hundred thousand, like a little more than that, maybe 200,000 X returns. So it's always amazing to look at these stories for me personally because uh, like a lot of people treat us as also like super risky investments. Like basically every day since I founded this company, people have just been talking about how this is such a risky company. It's so hard. It's not worth doing. Google's going to do it. Like Microsoft's going to do it. And then you remember, you go back and look at, all these companies have started similarly. Like, they've been very small and like kept at it for years and years and years. The relentlessness to go keep going there, and that's what got them there. So I find it very inspiring to like dig deeper. And these are the kind of experiences that you wouldn't want to use something like ChatGPT for because you just don't even know if it actually what it says is correct.
Yeah, I
Whereas
love
here,
how the sources come on top.
yeah, exactly. These are, you have the sources here. You can go look at all of them. You can read some of them. For example, there's this thing where there's this fireside chat, and I'm just gonna like go check it out, and it literally goes to my fireside chat with Jensen. And I can even like listen to it if I want to, right?
Yeah.
So, so this is, and then I can
Yeah.
ask follow-up questions like, of course, this is not needed because it's already answered here. And, like, who are the other co-founders? I'm pretty interested because you don't really hear much about them. And so here's who are the other co-founders of NVIDIA? And then, okay, NVIDIA is founded by three people, right? And then um, Chris spent, like he still serves as a member of the executive staff, and Curtis, right? And these are people that you don't know much about, so you can actually go to the source too and read about them, right? So it's
Yeah.
pretty. I love using the product for all sorts of things like this. Obviously, this is more for curiosity. There's also lots of use cases like um, in case like I'm working on some company financing, I'm like asking questions about like different safe constructs for investments. How do I do? Is it possible to do like a safe investment with both a lower and upper bound on the
I see
cap?
a Copilot feature and it's enabled. What is that?
Yeah, so Copilot is basically like a search companion, right? Like it's not it's taking your search query, reformulates it, and goes to the web and asks, like reads like lots of pages, lot more pages than what would be possible in a typical search index. So
Nice.
it's a lot more accurate, more personalized too. For example, if your query is not this precise. I'm gonna show you one more, maybe like different saves, something like that, right? If a query is not that precise, it's gonna like be able to reformulate a query into lots of different versions and give you like a pretty diverse viewpoint. Also, it has this experience of like giving you follow-up questions. Like you can say, plan a trip for me to Maui in December, right? I'm just going to ask this. And then it's going to come back and ask you a clarifying question. Okay, I'm going to stay there
Oh,
for
that's
5 days.
cool. Yeah.
That's great.
And then what are your main interests in this trip? It's like the second follow-up. And I'm going to say I'm interested in beaches. I'm interested in culture, and I'm also interested in hiking. I probably don't want to do water in the winter, maybe. So, and then it's going to go and search the web again. Look at how it's reformulating my query, right? It's reformulating my query into weather, top beaches, and then
Right.
it's literally read like 25 sources,
Mm.
and then it gives you this amazing answer with lots of like you know
That's
Yeah. What?
that's pretty awesome. So folks can check this out at perplexity.ai. Is that where they
That's
can
right.
go and
Yeah, it's a pretty complicated name, but hopefully, just like how we all got used to saying Google, you'll get used to saying this too.
So one thing I'm really impressed about the product is just the speed at which it delivers the
That's
answer.
right. Yeah.
So Arvind, could you tell us a bit more about the technology stack that powers your product?
Yeah. So the way you think about it is like Perplexity is like this kind of like a human employee that you kind of hire who would go and literally type these search queries into you know, the web, read a bunch of web pages, and end up writing a distilled answer of all the content they've seen relevant to what you asked, as if they were writing a Wikipedia article or a research paper with sources, inline citations, right? That's the but it's almost like this human, imaginary human, is working at the speed of like few seconds, what would actually take a real human like multiple minutes or even hours. And that means what? That means you get the power of having like lots of humans working for you all the time and doing your research and like ask, you can bug them how much ever you want. That's the amazing part. Now, how do we do this? It's two things coming together. So Perplexity is an answer engine. Answer engine means what? It gives you the answer back by sources. Um, it's powered by two components. One is the reasoning engine, which is a large language model, which allows this conversational ability and language understanding capabilities. And the second is a search engine, which is like a traditional search index. Not you can call it knowledge engine, search engine, doesn't matter. Now, when the reasoning engine and the knowledge or search engine come together, that is, facts and reasoning come together, and blends itself and fuses into like a new form called a conversational answer bot. That's what Perplexity is. So that's the answer engine. Now, how do we orchestrate the whole thing together? Given a query, we would first understand what you're trying to ask. We would reformulate it. We would send some of these to the web. We would pull some of these contents from our indexes. We would go and actually do live browsing for you. We would take all the content away. We would pick the relevant stuff to your query, and then the reasoning engine will take all the text and try to like format it into a nice output that you can consume. And then we will suggest you follow-up questions you can ask. And then the best part about all this is like trying to explain to you why an orchestra is good by saying, oh, this guy is a good pianist and this guy is a good violinist, and it's sort of like that. Doesn't matter. It's orchestra is just meant to be experienced and enjoyed. So Perplexity is an orchestra of like multiple components, and our goal is to delight you. Like, oh wow, like this, how does this work? This is too good to be true, sort of thing. And that's the idea.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds beautiful. Orchestras are beautiful, and this looks beautiful and works beautifully. So could you tell us a bit more about the inference component behind it? I know you all published a blog about your API that's coming out soon and how TensorRT LLM powers your product. It'd be great for our listeners to know a bit more about that, and just so everyone is aware, that product went generally available just today. So feel free to check it out as Arvind talks about.
Yeah, 100%. So we started off as a company by working on top of the OpenAI models, right? Because that's the right thing to do. You first want to find product market fit. You don't want to go and raise a huge round with a giant GPU cluster, have like, $1 billion valuation without any product, and then try to like work with it. What you want is like a lot of users who love your product, amazingly orchestrated, capabilities outside of LLMs that give you like a certain unique positioning in the market, um, and then slowly start building your infrastructure and cut down the costs, right? This is not even new or specific to large language models. This is just how it's been, pretty much for like most companies in the past too. Like Amazon started off like relying on other people to help them to build the first business, and then slowly started optimizing their supply chain, right? So our goal here by introducing the Plex API is okay, open source models are slowly kind of catching up to GPT 3.5. Now, that means there exists, or at least there will exist, a checkpoint, a set of weights that will be as powerful as GPT 3.5. But does that let you flip the switch from using OpenAI to some other model? Answer is no. Why? Because when you are serving a consumer product like search that's being used by millions of people every day, there is extremely high latency and throughput requirements. In the sense that the latency needs to be incredibly low and the throughput should be incredibly high, and both need to happen. It's not just one. You can always have very high throughput, but not great latency, or you can have very great latency but not great throughput by over optimizing for one. Like you just have a lot more GPUs, but or like you can always get one metric really good. The challenge is getting both to be good with limited amount of GPUs. That's where OpenAI really specializes. And if you can achieve that, then you will actually have your own moat of like serving infrastructure. Now, earlier this is not possible, but now that NVIDIA is working hard on like, they released the TensorRT LLM library today, um, open sourced it. So now it's actually possible to do a lot of these things like special tricks, flash attention, page attention, and all these sort of like inference throughput tricks, and get to a point where you can take an amazing open source checkpoint and build the inference infrastructure to serve millions of requests yourself. And necessity is the mother of invention here. By that, what I mean is you will only have a need to build a great serving infrastructure if you want to be the first user of it yourself. Exactly why AWS is great. AWS is great because Amazon built it for themselves first. And they had a consumer product that's being used by a lot of people. By building infrastructure for themselves, they built an amazing infrastructure for the rest of the world too. Same thing with us. We have a consumer product that's already being used by a lot of people. Now, if we start becoming users of our own API, it's likely to be like so useful for the rest of the world too. And so we took all the open source models and like we made it available with the REST API. We achieve much better latency than companies that are explicitly like created for just enterprise infrastructure, like any scale and replicate. And we, are able to save production grade traffic there with better first token latency, which is what matters in, streaming UIs like LLMs, and better throughput in terms of decoding speed than both single stream and multi-stream than other providers. So token throughput is better, and the overview of the infrastructure is we powered with NVIDIA A100 GPUs on Amazon P40 instances, and extremely cost efficient. We make use of NVIDIA's TensorRT LLM library, and that helps us to like optimize the inference because it compiles a lot of like optimized kernels, especially for flash attention and mass multi attention, and it's very useful in the generation phase. And we are already serving it in production. Like since we are an orchestra and we have a lot of LLMs, some of them are now our own LLMs, and we that already helps us save like $600,000 a year with traffic that was back then, and that traffic keeps growing every day. So as our traffic grows, this savings will also grow a lot. So you got to invest in this pretty early on, right? And we decode like billions of tokens every day, and like anybody can make use of it. So all you got to do is get a pro account on Perplexity, and you generate your own API key, and it's obviously rate limited. If you want a higher rate limit, you can reach out to us on API@perplexity.ai and start using it and build applications with like models like Mistral or Llama 70B or Replit. A lot of different models are available here.
This is just so awesome. I really like what you said about, you focused first on building a product that people want to use, that you want to use, and then people want to use, and then realize that some of the capability you've built could be useful to others, and that's what Perplexity APIs are all about. I would love to keep chatting about this, but unfortunately, we are bound by time. I do know, however, that you intend to be at reInvent. And so if
Yeah.
people want to come chat with your team, will you be on the floor? Can you give us some more info about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, we did this work along with NVIDIA by being part of the Inception program, and also we're going to share a booth together with NVIDIA at reInvent. We're going to have some demos to play with all the, first of all the models that we're serving on Perplexity APIs are available here. You can use this as a ChatGPT alternative. Um, Give me some ideas for Friday night relaxing dinner, like all sorts of like basic stuff, right? Like you can use Mistral models. It's blazing fast latency. So we're going to have some demos around these in the reInvent with NVIDIA, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
That's
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Rohil, and thank you, Aravind, for joining us. Thank you to the audience for tuning in, and look out for Perplexity.ai at the NVIDIA booth at reInvent this year. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting, Shruti.